Right, hey guys. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I actually recorded this earlier and I posted it, and I'm not sure how many of you did watch it, but the mic was completely screwed up. I'm not sure how it caught some frequency, and it was just fizzing away, and it's so annoying. So I have to redo this recording, unfortunately, and I hope it turns out well this time, because my last review was super long and super detailed, and I'm so sad that I have to redo this recording. But I guess it's one of the downsides when you don't really do a mic test beforehand. So yeah, anyway, here we are. I want to go through the full plot and spoiler breakdown, and also all the plot holes, all the the details in the story, the character building, the world building, the music, the graphics, and all of the good stuff. So before I start, as usual, I only do spoiler reviews. So take note, if you have not watched this film, I suggest you don't stick around. And also, if you have not watched this film and you do plan to watch it, let me just tell you, don't have any expectations going into this film, because yeah, why should you anyway? It's an MCU film. Having expectations is a bad idea. So anyway, here I am. I just recently watched this, so while it's still fresh in my head, let me just break it down for you. So I stopped having expectations for MCU films ever since Endgame, because after Infinity War, I had a very high expectation of the way Endgame was going to be, and it was a complete disappointment to me. A lot of characters undone, a lot of one step forward, two steps back sort of momentum that hit the rest of the MCU. You can see characters like Thor, Hulk, all being undone for what they are. And also Spider-Man, the recent Spider-Man film, it was just a fan service film where in the end, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is actually, just barely at the level that Tobey and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man were in their very first film. It's as though Peter has finally faced the loss, which is Aunt May, and he's finally learning what responsibility is, and so he's finally becoming Spider-Man. It's like the character is just being undone, considering everything that the character has gone through. People are saying, "Oh, it's a whole new Spider-Man. Thank God we don't have to do that Uncle Ben thing all over again." But we did. We did the Uncle Ben thing with Aunt May. So yeah, this is the only reason I am not really a fan of the recent MCU films, is because they really undo all the character development that they work on. Like in Thor Ragnarok, they were building Thor to be this god that doesn't rely on the hammer. Odin tells him, "You're not the god of hammers. You're the god of thunder." But in the very next film, he has to go looking for an axe. So now he's the god of axes. So yeah, it's like that. And also he has to hold Mjolnir just to believe he's worthy, which kind of really undoes everything that is done by specific story writing and direction, and that sort of thing. So I felt that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is once again that one step forward, two steps back sort of film, where if you guys watched, Infinity War, Doctor Strange is the Sorcerer Supreme, and after the events of Endgame, it turns out that he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme, especially in the Spider-Man in the recent No Way Home film, where it was emphasized that he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme because he was snapped away for 5 years and Wong was around, so Wong is the current Sorcerer Supreme. So where does that take Stephen Strange? So in this story, it's more so about Stephen Strange finding purpose in this world, in a sense where it's not about being the Sorcerer Supreme, but more so about being a man. So it's actually sort of not focusing on his superhero element, but more so trying to focus on his person, I guess, telling that, are you really happy, Stephen? Which is the question, the ultimate question in this film, is whether Stephen Strange is really happy. Like, yes, he's great, he's a very powerful wizard, he does a lot of good things for a lot of people, but is he really happy? And the question is not pointless. Like, it really has meaning and it has purpose. And the real purpose to the question is because if Stephen Strange does not feel content and complete as a person, then everything else of him being a superhero and being a wizard, being all this almighty persona, it will come to fall and fail, because in the end, he'll be ruined by his human weakness, right? His jealousy, his fear, his need for approval, and all of these sorts of elements, which is sort of hypocritical if you think about it, because you see a lot of the facts where, especially between Wanda and Steven, which is what this film is about. It's Doctor Strange versus the Scarlet Witch with a bunch of other side characters. You see a lot of that come into play where he starts to realize that it's not all about helping people. It's also about he himself being content in some way, because in the end, having so much power can make you a threat too. And seems like in this film there is another Stephen Strange who, or several, who will be renowned to having caused a threat to other realms. So to start off, how this film works is America Chavez is seeing running with another version of Doctor Strange in another realm, being chased by some kind of tentacle monster. They're running towards the Book of Vishanti. The tentacle monster grabs America Chavez. Sorry, yeah, the tentacle monster is being fought by Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange actually realizes that America Chavez cannot control her powers, which is what the tentacle monster is after. So he starts absorbing her powers, telling her that if you can't control it, at least I can absorb it and I can control it. But America Chavez is like, but you're betraying me. You're going to kill me by doing this. And he says something about, the Doctor Strange says something about in the grand calculus of the multiverse. And before I can finish his sentence, the tentacle monster stabs him. America Chavez panics and opens a portal. So it's later found out that she has the ability to open portals to walk through or jump through the multiverse, which means from one universe to another universe. So the our universe, which is the current universe, if you guys are fans of the comics, it is also mentioned in the film. Thanks to the I like the exposition being subtle in the most parts. It's not that bad in this film. Like they really don't, explain too much. They really keep it very simple, which is very nice, because they know that there are some fans who know what they're watching, and there are also people who don't really know what they're watching. So they give a bit of both, and I sort of like that. So our Earth, the main Earth of the Doctor Strange that we know, is Earth 616. Earth 616, you can call it as the original, right? Let's just call it original. So she opens a portal to the original Earth in a panic mode, and the other Doctor Strange, the one that was working with her to get to the Book of Vishanti, despite betraying her to try to get her powers, because he was doing it for the right thing, realizes that he can still save her even after being stabbed by the monster. So he throws a bunch of magical blades that cut the tentacle monster, free America Chavez, and all three of them, he, the monster, and America Chavez, fly into the portal that leads to Earth. And upon arriving at Earth, there's the whole commotion where our Stephen Strange, original Stephen Strange, is attending a wedding, Christine Palmer's wedding. The doctor lady who he likes and whatever, the one that he can't really be with. And he's asked the question by Christine Palmer of whether he is happy. And this is where we realize that this film might be, a bit more of a personal film for Doctor Strange. Turns out it's not entirely the case, but I like how that notion is subtly put, because it's very important for the most powerful man on earth to be also emotionally stable, of course, right? But guess what? There's someone more powerful than him. In fact, this film establishes clearly who is the most powerful person in the MCU, and that is Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. So, the America Chavez basically is hunted down by the tentacle monster, so he has to abandon the wedding to go and fight the tentacle monster. He saves America Chavez. Wong shows up to also join the fight. After they save her, she explains to them that she was actually looking for the Book of Vishanti with the previous Doctor Strange who tried to kill her, so he doesn't really trust the current Doctor Strange. The current one tells him, "You don't really have choice but to trust me. Follow us back to Kamartach, and we'll try to protect you." And so she shows the body of the previous Doctor Strange that followed them. He's like in some kind of dead zombie fight sort of body. So the current Doctor Strange buries him in like some kind of rooftop with a bunch of rocks. Just buries his body. I don't know why he would bury the body of another Strange that way. Like it's so weird to me that, like, if I was in his place, I would have taken the body back to Kamatach, at least to give the visit a proper burial or send off or whatever. But for some reason, he buries it on top of some random rooftop. But whatever. So Wong portals her to Kamatach, and Doctor Strange goes to visit Wanda Maximoff, who's in some kind of a garden. And turns out the entire garden is fake. She has warped reality to keep that garden to seem what it is, because she was worried whether Doctor Strange is coming to her to ask her about the incidents that she played out in WandaVision. And she just reveals that she's straight up the Scarlet Witch, and she's the one who sent the tentacle monster after America Chavez in the first place. And she wants America Chavez powers so that she can travel to another dimension and claim, another version of her children. So Doctor Strange tells her your children are not real. You never had children to begin with. And so there's this concept that is introduced in this film, which is the dreams that people have are actually them dreaming about the alternate reality versions of themselves. And that's a really nice thought to take home. I like that aspect. It introduces to us a new sort of concept for us to think about, for us to take home, for us to ponder upon. Like, is it really in our dreams that we are thinking of alternate versions of ourselves? Is that why we, when we have nightmares, they're often close to us dying because we get to see a glimpse of a memory from another version just being desperate. It's so cool to think about it, right? But anyway, they throw that notion in there. So there's also another concept where America Chavez is the only version of herself, and so she doesn't have any dreams. And is also a good way of balancing a person who is able to walk through the multiverse. So there's only one version of her. So no matter where she goes, this evil Scarlet Witch, who's in Earth 616, has to look for the original America Chavez to get her powers. So yeah, anyway, now she's in six. Now America Chavez is in Kamataj. So Scarlet Witch attacks Kamataj, destroys literally everything. Super easy, barely an inconvenience sort of thing. She takes out the entire sorcerer army. They show like a bunch of other sorcerers come from different places around the world to help Wong, because Wong is the sorcerer supreme and he's like, they are willing to help me because I'm sorcerer supreme or whatever, and they are like, anything for the sorcerer supreme, we are here to help you or serve you or whatever." And they all show up and they all just get obliterated. There is not even one wizard who has a cool fight scene with the Scarlet Witch. Not even one. Like the Scarlet Witch doesn't even have she doesn't use any minions or anyone else who serves her. It's so strange that the most powerful witch on Earth has no one to serve her. It's just so weird. Like, think about it, right? All the most powerful people in the world usually have someone at their service. Like Thanos had Ebony Maw and Corvus and Proxima and all of these things, right? I'm sure Strange. I mean, maybe not clearly, but he does have people at Kamatach working for the Sorcerer Supreme. So I would at least expect one or two people, maybe even created individuals or those under mind control, to work with Wanda to sort of help her in case of these kinds of special threats. But clearly, she doesn't need anyone because she's just wiping out Kamataj. There's no one that can stand a chance against her. And then Doctor Strange creates some kind of spell to trap her in the mirror dimension, from which we get these really cool horror-esque Sam Raimi moments where she's using the reflections, basically just water puddles all over Kamataj, to show up and attack America Chavez. And finally, she comes out of a gong. A gong is basically like a metal drum, the one that monks beat when they want to make some announcement. I'm not sure how else I can explain a gong, but she comes out of the gong in the ring style, like Ringu style. She just crawls out with her long hair, and that's some really cool, scary esque moment. The horror elements in this movie are meh because they start or they show up as a jump scare, but they don't really build on to anything. There's no horror moment that lasts for more than 10 seconds. Everything is under 10 seconds. They're just like, oh, guess what? It's going to be something scary, boom, done. That's it. You don't see anything after that. It's just 10 seconds of little jump scares here and there. So yeah, I think the PG-13 really weakened and softened the movie really, really bad. It sort of castrated the film, is what I'm going to say, I guess, because it really took out that edge that it would have otherwise had, being, a movie about a powerful witch versus a wizard, which is what it is essentially. So yeah, there are so many ways to show the dark arts and all of these magical stuff, but I guess there were limitations. Also, a lot of the fights are not very creative. There were maybe one or two interesting moments, but the rest of it is just meh. Like that mirror fight where she shows up out of the water puddles to attack them was pretty cool. But there are not that many cool scenes as such in the film. Most of the other magic is just them conjuring weapons and just beating the crap out of each other. That's pretty much it. So yeah, so she shows up to attack America Chavez, and once again she panics and opens another panic portal. Wong gets left behind with the Scarlet Witch. Doctor Strange and America Chavez get thrown through her portal, and we get this amazing scene where they just get thrown through various universes. And here's the thing, right? This scene is just so good because of the way they show them, their bodies altering as they go through different universes. So they go through like a cartoon universe where their body turns to cartoon, and they go through like some blocks universe where they turn into like a bunch of Lego blocks and stuff. So as they go through these various universes, I wish it wasn't just them being flung through it. I wish it was them actually being chased through it. You get what I mean? Like, Remember the jumper scene in Jumper where jumpers are fighting each other, so they teleport and they go to another location, they chase each other and teleport and they go to another location, chase. So at least that moment where they chase each other should have been shown, so they can do some cool stuff. Like they could have shown the cartoon version of Strange casting spells against Wanda, and then the cartoon version of Wanda casting spells, and then America Chavez opening a portal in the cartoon version, and then maybe them going into a version where they're all like animals or rabbits or bunnies or whatever, it would have been so cool to have like a good like 2 3 minute scene of just them fighting in different realities as they travel through before they finally end up in what they wanted to reach. But well, we didn't really get that. We also don't get any other characters intervening until they end up in a new dimension. So Doctor Strange and America Chavez end up in this new dimension where they get like this one little warming moment where this dimension they end up in is like slightly futuristic. So they step onto a plane that tells them, it's not a plane, sorry, they step onto a platform that says, we'll show you your most significant memory. So for Doctor Strange, that memory is Christine Palmer giving him his watch. And for America Chavez, it's the scene where she has two moms, actually. She doesn't have a dad. So I think her moms are like lesbians. So she has lesbian parents. So I'm not sure how she's born. Maybe it's like in her world, the lesbian parents can have kids. Or maybe she's like I don't know, some kind of test tube baby or something, a clone maybe. I don't know how it works for her. And so basically, in her world, she as a child, she opens her first portal and teleports her two lesbian mothers into some unknown universe, and they're never to be seen again. And she, what do you call it? That's like her most significant memory. She regrets it, and the thing is, we never get that answer. We never know where her parents were sent to the very end of the film. She is, that significant moment is never concluded. So yeah, that's still open to everyone's own imagination. So yeah, so after that little moment where they step onto this platform and they explore this new world, they end up in front of a sanctum. It's so easy to find the sanctums in this film. I don't know how there's like, it's like let's go find the sanctum. It's like the sanctum is always like around the corner or around the block or something. It's not like they ever need to take a plane or a train to get to where they want to go. It's always like the sanctum is right there wherever they want to look for it, and there's always a Doctor Strange available. But this particular time, there's no Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange has died fighting Thanos, and so Baron Mordo is the one running the sanctum. And turns out it's not just the sanctum; it's the headquarters of the Illuminati. And for those of you who are comic book fans, you know clearly who the Illuminati are. There are some variations in this MCU version, but I think generally it's quite holistic. It's pretty cool. So we get introduced to the Illuminati, which consists of the TV series Black Bolt, Black Agar Boltagon, the TV series guy. Nice to see him. I mean, sure, it wasn't a great series, but still nice to see him. Charles Xavier, Sir Patrick Stewart on the yellow classic chair with the X-Men 80s theme. I absolutely like lost it when I saw that. It was so super cool. It's like one of my favorite cartoons of all time, as you guys probably know from my other videos. But yeah, it's so nice to see that. Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, played by Lysana Lynch, the lady from the new James Bond. She's the new 007. And then the Reed Richards is the guy from the recent Fantastic Four, the same guy in A Quiet Place. And then there is Baron Mordo. And did I miss out anyone? Oh yeah, Captain Carter. So it's the Peggy Carter, the Peggy Carter, and also she's the what if version of Captain Carter. Basically, I think she's Captain Britain because she has a British flag on her uniform. It's not the American flag. She has a British flag, and she has a shield as well. So yeah, this is the Illuminati. So they actually capture them. They capture Doctor Strange and what do you call this? America Chavez by drugging them and then putting them in some what do you call these chambers and locking them up. Doctor Strange can't use his powers, and America Chavez doesn't know how to use hers. So Christine Palmer turns out to be the research scientist who has locked them up. So Doctor Strange actually gets escorted to meet the Illuminati, and he's discussing with them. America Chavez is just stuck in a glass jar with Christine Palmer. Nothing significant happens there. While all this is going on, Wanda, who is with Wong, Wanda is using this book called the Darkhold, which is like a powerful grimoire, I believe, for the witch, and she's using that to cast a spell which allows her to do something called dream walking. So dream walking is where you essentially go into your alternate version in another universe and take control of that body and do whatever you want. So she goes to the universe where Doctor Strange and America Chavez are to take control of her body there, and that version of her body actually has two children, two kids. So yeah, it's one of the universes where she actually has kids. But instead of focusing on that, she actually just takes over the body. She tries to embrace the moment where she has the kids for a moment, but then she just gets back to business, which is to find America Chavez. So she goes down, attacks the headquarters of the Illuminati, and while this is happening, four of the Illuminati members, I think four of the Illuminati members, go to face Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch. And while this is happening, Doctor Strange is actually bargaining with Baron Mordo to release him. They end up in a fight. So all of the Illuminati members are going to face what do you call this, Wanda. Professor X actually hangs on for a while before he leaves when he realizes all the other members are dead. And then Baron Mordo and Strange are in a hand-to-hand combat. I don't understand why they're in hand-to-hand. So Doctor Strange is cuffed, right? He can't use his powers. Baron Mordo is free to use his powers. He could just beat Stephen Strange from a distance because he's the Sorcerer Supreme, right? But no, he goes hand to hand. He ends up getting baited to break Doctor Strange's what do you call that? Like the armlets which are restraining him, and Doctor Strange gets free. It's just so typical fight style, and then he knocks Baron Mordo down into some kind of a like a little ditch. And he manages to kick off Baron Mordo to jump out of the ditch, and Baron Mordo doesn't have a way to climb out of it. It's so strange. Like I think it's just so weird that you're the sorcerer supreme of that place. I'm sure you have a way of unlocking the cuffs, or the cuffs knowing that they shouldn't restrain you, or you can just jump out of that little cavity or whatever. But they just neuter Baron Mordo to that little corner there where he's just standing in a hole, and he's like, you'll get it, you'll get it later on, Strange, or something like that. And Strange just escaped from that area. So meanwhile, in the front of the headquarters, or rather inside the headquarters, in front of the lab that's containing America Chavez, the Illuminati members go to fight Scarlet Witch. So Scarlet Witch, what she does is the first one she kills is Black Bolt. She gets rid of his mouth. Black Bolt is like going to say something to her to destroy her, because when Black Bolt talks to you, it's usually your last words. So um, turns out she can just make his mouth disappear. And it's so strange that she could do that, because if she can just make his mouth disappear, she could just make everyone else's nose disappear, eyes disappear, head disappear. I don't see how, like, why they chose to go with the Matrix. Your mouth is not there anymore, haha, kind of scene, when she can't do that to the rest of the other Illuminati members. Like, why not? Why is there such an inconsistency with the power? We'll never know. But yeah, she makes Black Bolt's mouth disappear. So he says, like, he utters a or something, and then his head pops, which is also weird because as far as I know, Black Bolt's powers can't harm himself. That's from the comics at least. So I'm not sure whether there is a moment where he can kill himself with his own powers. I'm not sure, but I expected a more all-out fight from the most powerful member of the Inhumans, the king of the Inhumans, literally. But yeah, it turns out he's the most disappointing character. He died first, and then Mr. Fantastic gets dismantled by Scarlet Witch. Just turns him into a bunch of ribbons. Captain Marvel has a slightly longer fight. She throws Captain Carter's shield back at her. Even Captain Carter, who is like a hand-to-hand combatant, has a longer fight than Black Bolt. Like, seriously, do you guys pay no respect at all to Blackagar Boltagon? That guy can destroy and defeat Thanos in the comics. That's how strong that guy is. He's a planet destroyer. But anyway, so Captain Carter is more powerful in that sense, where she can actually go hand to hand with Scarlet Witch, but she dies anyway because Scarlet Witch just throws her shield back at her, slicing her in half. We don't really get to see blood or any violent gore or anything like that, but it's quite clearly obvious where the damage or the wounds are done to. We know that she gets sliced in half, that sort of thing, and then it cuts. So yeah, you don't really have the full satisfaction of it, So you know that there is violence, but you just don't get it. But anyway, Monica Rambo, Captain Marvel, yeah, she's powerful and everything, but she gets beaten by Scarlet Witch. This sort of a Harry Potter versus Voldemort laser fight, and then Scarlet Witch dumps like a statue on her head, and she's dead. Finally, Professor Xavier shows up, and he goes into Scarlet Witch's mind to try to see what's inside. He sees the alternate version of Wanda, whose body has been taken over, and she's hiding in some little cave like that. And then the Wanda that is taken over, the Scarlet Witch, just comes and snaps Professor Xavier's head in a jump scare, Superman Zod style. There's not even a fight. There's not even a fight between Professor X, who could literally do anything in your mind, and the Scarlet Witch. Like they should have shown Professor X and Scarlet Witch fighting like what like Strange versus Thanos Infinity Gauntlet fight. That's what it should have been, because Xavier can do whatever he wants in your mind. It's like a playground for him, but nah, he just dies in 2 seconds. So the Illuminati, who basically are the cameos in this film, are eliminated in like 10-15 minutes, and that's about it for the rest of the film. We don't really have them anymore. So Christine Palmer frees what do you call this, America Chavez, and they're running through a tunnel with Doctor Strange, and Scarlet Witch is chasing them. And when she's chasing them, it's actually very close proximity. She's chasing them like I think about 2 or 3 meters away. Like there's moments in the tunnel with just like 3 or 4 meters away, and she can't stop them. She can't make their eyes disappear or their legs disappear. I don't know. It's just such inconsistent plot holes in the story that I don't know who has what power when. They can just do whatever they want when the story tells them. And then finally, Doctor Strange reaches this end of the tunnel, and Doctor Palmer's like, so behind this door is where the previous Strange, no, where we had locked up the Book of Vishanti or something. And so she said only the previous Strange had access to it. So the reason the previous Strange is not there anymore is actually not because he died fighting Thanos. They actually faked that whole statue. He actually was trying to find ways to defeat Thanos, so he was using the Darkhold to dreamwalk into alternate dimensions to find a solution defeating Thanos. He actually caused like the end of or collapse of some other reality. So he finally did help them defeat Thanos, but they realized that he didn't stop dreamwalking. So he was the final threat. So Black Bolt actually said bye bye to him, and when Black Bolt says bye bye to you, it's bye bye. So that's how the previous Strange died. So this Strange uses his watch, which turns out to be the key to unlock that last door at the end of the tunnel, and it leads to a portal which goes to the Book of Vishanti. So he, America Chavez, and Christine Palmer go to the Book of Vishanti. Scarlet Witch manages to reach them, catches them, and America Chavez opens another panic portal. No, no, she doesn't. She doesn't open a panic portal. Scarlet Witch controls her to open a portal to send Strange, or rather banish Strange and Palmer into some random broken dimension, and open another portal so that she can send America Chavez to where the original body of the Scarlet Witch is. So the original Scarlet Witch at this point is actually no longer in the Sanctum. So it turns out while she was in the Sanctum with Wong, she was using the Darkhold to dreamwalk. And there's this unnecessary thing that happens. She's dreamwalking, and then one of the other sorcerers apparently are not dead. She shows up. Instead of freeing Wong, she goes and attacks the Darkhold, which she manages to destroy, but Wong is still trapped. So Scarlet Witch wakes up from the dreamwalk, kills that other person, knowing that she has lost the Darkhold. She can't dreamwalk anymore. She tells Wong, like, "You're the Sorcerer Supreme. I'm sure you know where the other Darkhold is. Take me to it." Wong is like, "No, I won't." Then she's like, "If you don't," and then she pulls out a bunch of other sorcerers from the rubble. Turns out a bunch of them are still not dead, and she's like, "I'll kill the rest of them." And I don't see what's the difference. They're gonna be dead anyway. So, like, 5 seconds ago, we all thought they died, but it turns out they're still alive. And Wong is like, "Okay, you know what? You can drop them. I will take you to the ultimate weapon that will destroy the multiverse. Come, follow me." So Wong takes her to this witch's tower, where apparently he can't teleport there. So he can use you can use them. Apparently they can use their magic in the tower, but they can't teleport to the tower, something like that. So it takes her to the witch's tower, and she takes Wong with her, and then ditches Wong. She kicks him off the tower, so we think Wong is dead. He's not actually, but we don't know at that point. So she goes into the tower. Turns out that it's actually the Scarlet Witch's tower, where the grimoire is actually sort of carved into the wall. So the dark hole was actually originally written from the inscription on the walls. So she doesn't need the dark hole when she's sitting there. She can actually just use the power by the knowledge that is in the walls, and she can just use the magic from there. So from there, she continues to dreamwalk. So that is where America Chavez gets transported to from the Book of Vishanti place. Oh, and the Book of Vishanti also gets destroyed by what do you call the name, Scarlet Witch. So I don't understand the point of having that whole Book of Vishanti plot line. It just didn't do anything. Like, yeah, they're looking for it, but it never really helped. The only book that was of significance here is the Darkhold. So now Scarlet Witch actually has caught America Chavez and is going to drain her powers, which is going to take like a whole scene. So while that's happening, Doctor Strange ends up in this broken reality with Dr. Palmer, and as usual, they can find a sanctum. And guess what? There is another Doctor Strange there, and he's the Dark One. He's the one corrupted by the Darkhold. This is a whole new Strange we're talking about. It's not the Supreme Strange from the What If. It's not. And but he does look scary. We think for a while that he's going to be so strong because he has a third eye, and he's like a third eye on top of his head. The worst CGI I've seen in the whole film is that third eye. It's really obvious that CGI is bad. But on top of that, we think that maybe this Strange could be so strong. Maybe our Strange can't fight him. Doesn't matter. Our Strange just throws a bunch of music notes at him using some magic, and he defeats the other Strange. Done. The other Strange is dead. He falls to his death, gets a spike through his chest, and he's murdered. So Strange kills an alternate version of himself that's supposedly stronger than him just so easily. So that guy's dead. And after that, Strange decides to use the dark hole that is left there to dreamwalk to Earth 616 to help, what do you call this, America Chavez. So Christine Palmer is like, who are you going to dream walk into? You are here. And he's like, but there's a dead body of another Strange there, and I can still dream walk into him. So he dream walks into the zombie Strange, which is this little thing we see, this guy. And yeah, super cool. He dream walks into this. Oops, let's not get a copyright notice there. So he actually dream walks into this zombie fight version, and that guy goes to fight Scarlet Witch, and that's actually one of the best fight scenes. That's actually a very one of the most interesting uses of magic, where there's this undead sort of what do you call them, like ghouls or whatever, that show up to try to arrest Strange for using magic on an undead body, but Strange manipulates them to his will, so he uses them to fight. So he turns into like this kind of Indian deity with many arms sort of figure, and counters, uses them to counter Wanda's powers, and that was pretty cool. He like sort of like a demigod fighting versus the Scarlet Witch, and I found that probably the best part. So yeah, look at the CGI. CGI on this is just nah, it's not doing it. The shadow is in the wrong place. It's just so strange. But let me see. I think the many armed version is here somewhere. Oh yeah, by the way, the robots that escort Strange through the Illuminati base are Ultron bots, but we don't know whether Hank Pym creates them in this universe. Because in the Marvel universe, like I'm talking about the comics, we know that Mr. Fantastic is the smartest man, followed by Hank Pym, followed by Tony Stark. But in this one, we do know Mr. Fantastic is the smartest, but we don't know who created the Ultron bots. We don't know if it is Hank Pym or Tony Stark. Usually it's Hank Pym, but we don't know. So yeah, this is the magic he manipulates and turns into this form. This is super cool. This is like some necromancer stuff to fight Scarlet Witch. Super cool. But in the end, no one has the power to overpower the Scarlet Witch. No one can defeat her. So instead, what he does is he uses talk no jutsu to talk to what do you call this? America Chavez, and America Chavez uses her powers to open a portal so that Wanda can see the version of Wanda that she previously took over, and how fearful her children are and Wanda is towards herself. So Scarlet Witch observes how her children even fear her and realizes that she is the problem, and she is actually ruining this world and all the other versions of her and their children, and she doesn't want to be that, so she decides, let's just put an end to it. So she destroys the witch's tower, crashes it onto herself to kill herself, and destroys all the versions of the Darkhold throughout the multiverse. At least that's what we know. America Chavez opens a portal to free Strange and Dr. Palmer from their reality. And also, what do you call this? Wong is alive. Wong helps Steven to fight a little bit, and then they all just leave the place. Finally, America Chavez joins the Kamataj and becomes a student to Stephen Strange. Stephen Strange is still not the Sorcerer Supreme despite his achievements. Wong is, and that's pretty much it. In the end of the film, Stephen turns out he repairs his watch. He wears like a t-shirt, goes out for a walk, trying to realize that he has to learn to embrace and enjoy his life a little more, because his happiness is actually important to the fate of the multiverse or something. And then as he walks, he suddenly gets a headache, and we get that a very cool scene where the third eye opens on top of his head and the film ends. So that's the story. So Scarlet Witch is the most powerful character. She's unbeatable. The only reason she was defeated is because she lost emotionally, where, thank God, in the last final moments, somehow she realizes in the face of her children, she can't take the fact that she is the villain. And that's the only reason she gives up, right? She otherwise, even the other Wanda, even Steven telling her that you're doing this to your to their mother, and can you imagine doing this if you were the mother of the kids? What would happen if someone else took over your body to be with your kids? She doesn't care. But in the ending, all of a sudden, looking at that fear in the face of her children, she realizes that it's a wrong thing she's doing, and so yeah, she decides to defeat herself. It's also very weird how our Doctor Strange can defeat another Doctor Strange that is the master of the Darkhold or something in a collapsing reality. The power levels in this story is super inconsistent. One moment one person is strong, the other moment another person is strong. The Illuminati are just a bunch of cameos. They just die in 5 minutes. They serve no purpose. The other Christine Palmer's purpose is just to sort of get Stephen to understand that he has to believe in himself to be whole again. He has to learn to live his life or something, and he has to be more like, because Christine says that the only reason we can't be together is because you always wanted to be the person in control. I think she says you always want to be the one holding the knife or something. Like, as in a surgeon, he always has to be the one in control or something. And so Christine can't handle that. Something like that. But anyway, turns out that's the story. It's really messy. It's really messy. I wasn't really sure what they were trying to achieve, but I did understand the undertone of the story, where it's about Doctor Strange finding happiness in his own life, because the fate of the multiverse may depend on him one day, and we don't want him having any doubts in his soul, and that's important. Also, this guy was pointless. This Baron Mordo had absolutely no use in the film. America Chavez, she was nice. The actress is, I think, has potential. She did her role. She was basically just a damsel in distress for most of the film, and I think she played that role really well. She does some accidental portals here and there, and that's about it. In the end, all of a sudden, she can control the powers, the same as every other character. No one has to train in plot armor stories, right? You just can use your powers when you need to, and all of the other times you can't. And in the ending of the story, you can actually see her training in Kamartaj to try to open a regular portal, and she can't. Why does she even need to learn to open a regular portal? Anyway, right? Anyway. As for the other characters, they don't really play much of a role. The main characters here are just, Doctor Strange, Wanda, Wong, and America Chavez. These are the four main characters. Everyone else is fluff. Everyone else is fluff. Christine Palmer has a small role in trying to help Doctor Strange when he's going using the dark hole in the final moments of the film, and motivating him, giving him moral support. She does have some device that actually helps him fend off the undead that come to arrest him when he's controlling the zombie version of himself. But that's about it. I really thought she may have, even more of a fighting role against Wanda. Like, she can use her technology to try to stop Wanda, but no, nothing like that. Baron Mordo doesn't really help in the final fight either. It feels like there's another story that's supposed to happen here that just didn't take place. And similarly, America Chavez just opens a bunch of stray portals. You only see her using her other, attacking offensive powers once or twice in the film. She kicks like a stone to drop a rock onto the octopus that's after her, and then she, I believe, punches something else or what. And if you know America Chavez from the comics, whenever she punches or kicks anything, it forms the shape of a five-pointed star, and that's sort of signifies her power. But yeah, that's about it. The answer of what happened to her parents are never really answered to the end of the film. Everyone in the dimension that they travel to, the Illuminati, is all dead. So what happens to that universe now that all of them are dead is not answered. We don't know what will happen to that realm at all. Wong continues to be the useless Sorcerer Supreme, who basically can't do anything. He has to rely on Doctor Strange to do most of the heavy lifting, and none of them would have stood a chance against Wanda, if she decided not to change her mind and she decided, screw it, I'm going to just kill everyone. If she decided that no one could do anything, if Talk no Jutsu didn't work on Wanda Maximoff, it's over. Doctor Strange into the multiverse of the Scarlet Witch. She's pretty much the most OP character in the story. There's no way of stopping her. So yeah, let me pull up my rating. Hopefully this time the what do you call this? Fizzy whatever static doesn't get into the microphone. But yeah, it is a 4 out of 10 for me. The plot is very, I don't know, very confusing, very misguided. The jump scares in the film are nice and cool, but I don't really see the point of it. Like, are you doing a horror film or an action film? What are you trying to do? Like one moment your magic can make people's mouths disappear. In another moment, you have to have an all-out fight with a melee combatant. One moment you can basically I mean, you're facing off against Charles Xavier just for him to show up in your mind and die almost instantly. It's almost like this was the only way the story could end, which is they had to talk no jutsu her, and thank God it worked. If it didn't work, it would have been over. So I'm not sure if there's another reality where the talk no jutsu didn't work, but since this is the only version of America Chavez, then perhaps they are still safe or not. We won't know. But I guess in the next one, Doctor Strange will have a third eye on his forehead, and we'll see what that signifies as time goes on. We also do notice Stephen is actually wearing the Eye of Agamotto throughout the film, but it does not contain the time stone, so I'm not sure what's the significance of him actually wearing it. Like, I don't know why he's wearing the Eye of Agamotto if it doesn't do anything. He was wearing it throughout the film. And the cloak actually does a bunch of things in this film. It actually helps a lot of people, saves a lot of people's lives, flies around, does a bunch of fancy stuff, but not really very useful in a fight against the Scarlet Witch, just because she's so powerful. And also the magic, as I said, magic is not very creative. There are one or two good scenes. The scene where he uses music to fight, very cheesy and funny, but still interesting, something different to see. But a lot of the other times it's just them creating like lassos and projectiles, and that's about it. There's no like the starting where she has to use the water, the reflection to sort of use her powers and fight. That was pretty cool, but they didn't have many of those. They didn't do that again. Like the way Doctor Strange fought against Thanos when he was holding the gauntlet, right? He creates duplicates of himself. He turns the black hole into a bunch of butterflies. He does all of these things. We don't see any of that in this film. We don't see him using his creativity that well, and or any other sorcerer in Kamartaj. Basically, no one in Kamartaj can fight as well as, or even close to Wong or Steven. It's basically like there are these two sorcerers, and the rest are just students, and that's what it seems like. So hopefully, we get something better out of this. But for me, it's a 4 out of 10. I do know there's a lot of disappointment for those who expected a lot of cameos or whatever in the film. Trust me, I don't really care much about cameos. It's nice, it's cool, but how does it serve the plot is usually my question. Because if you title it Doctor Strange, I want the story to be about Doctor Strange and how he develops as a character. Whether he learns something new or he loses or gains something is what's important or essential to the character. And in this film, he basically repaired his watch, and that's about the only good thing that happened to him. Quite frankly, everything else went to shit. Yeah, everything else, like all the dead bodies in Kamartaj, there were no real funeral or anything to address the fact that Kamartaj was obliterated. I don't even know where all the new students came from when all the previous students are dead. Like they didn't have a moment to sob or to be upset about everyone else who died in Kamatage. It seems like Wong and Strange don't even know who these people are in Kamatage. They don't care. You know, there's really no weight. And there was so much opportunity to introduce so many other new characters, considering the fact that there's such a powerful witch doing this crazy magic thing. You don't have Thor intervening. Him being the Asgardian god that he is. I know he's not a god, but still, he's god of thunder. They should have brought some kind of magical elements of other characters that's possibly able to help. More Inhumans, maybe. Maybe some X-Men. At least to show that there are some stakes, and it's not just going to be a 1v1 battle for the fate of the entire multiverse. but it turned out to be that's the case. It was Doctor Strange versus Wanda, and even he couldn't defeat her. So he talked no jutsu America Chavez to talk no jutsu her, and then she was defeated. That's basically how it turned out. So yeah, a lot of the music in the story was actually reused. You guys can look up what really happened. Some of you who are movie buffs will definitely know what I'm talking about. The reusing of certain tracks. I'm not talking about the X-Men track. There are certain tracks in the film itself that are being reused from previous films, and yeah, kind of. I don't know, kind of a sensitive topic if you ask me. But Sam Raimi, we need Sam Raimi, and we need him in 18. We need him in 18, not in PG-13, please. We need him in, like, I don't know, 18, at least 16 plus, I think, rating. I think a 16 rating would have done it, at least to emphasize on the fact that there is some real horror going on here. And I don't think this should be called Doctor Strange. I think it's more of a Scarlet Witch film. This is Scarlet Witch in the Multiverse of Madness. And Doctor Strange is more so just a guy who's just trying to help sort things out. It's not really his film. It's not like he has the big moment where he's the one that figures things out. No, he doesn't really. He just motivates America Chavez to do the right thing. He doesn't really come and change all that much. So, yep, anyway, that's it from me. It's been a long review, and I usually like to do these on films that I really want to break things down and sort of, go through the details. And I really wanted to enjoy this a lot more, but I knew that I kind of had my expectations low, and I knew that I just shouldn't think about anything, just not read anything about the cameos. And quite frankly, I had no idea about all the cameo topics until after I watched the film. So after I watched it, I actually Googled up what people were expecting and realized why a lot of people are upset that certain cameos that they wanted to show up didn't show up. But that's not what the film is about. You guys shouldn't go to it thinking like that. This guy's saying the darkest Marvel movie yet. Like, what are you talking about in terms of the color? Because there's really what Marvel has never been this dark before. Higher age limit. I have no idea what this kid is talking about. There's really nothing dark in this film. Honestly, yeah, there's honestly nothing dark in this film. There are some moments of the film itself is dark, but nothing that twisted or gory or crazy or violent or anything like that. Vulgar, no, nothing. There's nothing dark about it. It's a normal fun film with a bunch of zombies and jump scares, and that's it. And yeah, it's a totally PG-13 film. You can definitely take your kids to it. It's not scary. Like, yeah, it's a zombie, yeah, but it's not that scary. Um, so yeah, I mean, I didn't have all the expectations of all the cameos or whatever. I didn't think Deadpool's gonna show up or anything like that, or Daredevil or whatever. Despite Daredevil showing up in the previous Spider-Man film or anything like that, I didn't have any of that in my mind. But I did know that I wanted a lot of Doctor Strange, and I wanted a lot of cool magic and amazing scenes and fun action fights and that sort of thing, as well as some character development to see how Strange goes back to maybe the mantle of the Sorcerer Supreme, or maybe goes through a journey where he has to find himself. And we got a journey where he sort of has to find himself, but it takes him once again the one step forward, two steps back scenario where, despite everything that he went through in the first, what do you call this, Doctor Strange film, and then in the Avengers film where you hear Ancient One telling Strange was meant to be the best of us and all of that. Now it seems like Strange still has a lot of things to learn, and there's still so much more left to do. And yeah, Scarlet Witch is the most powerful MCU character ever. It's hands down established in this. So yeah, that's it from me for this one. Let me know what you guys think of the film, and let me know if you guys enjoyed it or not. Because I think it was fun. I think it was great. But as if I were to judge it as a film, it lacks in a lot of aspects. The CGI, certain parts are just so. Most of the fight scene CGI are pretty cool and amazing, but there are moments where you see like the eyes and also the zombie moment. Some of the CGI is just a little bit too, I don't know, cartoonish. Can I say? I don't know. It just looks a little bit like not really part of the movie. You can really see the separation between the CGI part and the movie part. And also the plot was really bad, and we don't know, like, okay, you see this is just really bad CGI. And also him being able to defeat this guy makes no sense. Power level inconsistencies, what they're trying to achieve, and their end goal, like introducing the Illuminati. What were they trying to achieve here? What is the point of this? Besides a cameo, what did these people contribute? They gave they didn't even give the location of the Book of Vishanti. They just said that they know where it is, and Christine Palmer is the actual one that helped him. Um, so yeah, in some of these scenes, you can see, the magic is reasonably well done, but there are some other scenes where you can see it's just too comic-y, too like this one. There are certain moments where you can see that this guy is just full CGI. It's way too CGI heavy, compared to some other scenes. Like even this one, there are some action moments where you can see the rocks and rubble falling. It's just so fake. So yeah. Anyway, that's it from me. See you guys in the next one. Take care.